Okay, so the topic tonight is 5-star guys or non-5 stars that we think should be or have warranted consideration for getting a 5th star based on what we've seen so far or what we need to see moving forward. And I'll kind of kick us off here. The guy I want to bring up is Trenton Simpson. He's the linebacker from North Carolina. And I think we got him at a really good testing number today in like the 4.5 range, in the 40. Really good shuttle as far as I can tell. I haven't seen the official numbers yet, but given the way we view linebackers now, with athleticism being at such a premium, given that the kid's big, I mean he's like, I think he's 225.
Yeah, like 6'3", 220 plus.
I mean, and I think that kind of size gives him the versatility to play edge if needed. And also given that he's 1 year into the position, playing running back before that, I just think, like, I'm running out of boxes I need to check for him because his film is awesome. So I don't know that there's even that much more I really need to see out of him. Like I'm almost there, but I'm curious if I'm on the island here because I thought he was everything I wanted him to be today, given what his film looks like.
No, I think you could write a story today. I think you could give him his 5th star today and be comfortable about it. We also know he was absolute top of the board linebacker recruit for all his finalists and a guy that was coveted by these college coaches, and so that box is checked as well. And so I think we could give Trenton Simpson his 5th star today and feel good about it.
Yeah, he was the alpha dog at the Charlotte Regional that I went to, and like from the second you see him, you're like, okay, like, this guy obviously looks the part, and then you see him move, and he's just super fluid. And for a guy who really, I think, like you were saying, he had one year of experience at the position. He really kind of played both ways. He played running back and linebacker, and it's a top high school program in Charlotte, Mallard Creek. And I really kind of like his upside as a potential edge rusher because that's really what, when you watch his film at linebacker, that's really what he excels at. Like he comes off the edge, like flies off the edge, has a lot of pop when he hits people. Like he has strong hands, I've kind of noticed. So with kind of his growth potential, it'll be really kind of interesting to track. But I think he has a really high upside if he plays in space or off the edge. But I'm like really interested with him being off, like if he puts on 20 pounds, you're talking about a 6'3", 240 guy with elite athleticism that could be really the edge, like one of the better edge rushers in this class. And it's not a strong class with like your edge rusher defensive end type, so I'm kind of intrigued by him.
But he's very capable on the inside though too.
Yeah.
Like he's played running back his whole life,
yeah.
which I love.
Yeah.
And like when I met him the other day, like you were saying, strong hands. Like he's got these big mids where it's like he's just a big jointed.
Yeah.
Like strong, and to your point, maybe he can grow more.
That's kind of an indicator of maybe like a big frame where you can put on weight. So either way, like I would feel pretty comfortable with him being there. Like I agree.
So I think where we're at with him is basically he could play himself out of it maybe over the next couple of days, but he's pretty much
track.
Yeah.
When I look at the outside linebackers and I say every down guys, Trenton Simpson and Curtis Jacobs are the first two that come to my mind. And right now I like Trenton Simpson a little better than Curtis Jacobs today, but hell, even Curtis Jacobs long term, being a high school receiver with over 1,000 yards,
right,
is a guy that I think could be in the discussion down the road.
You could maybe throw like Quantharius Robinson in there too.
He's just got to get the film though.
Yeah,
we got to get his.
He's one that has to probably show a little better on the field
right.
as a senior, but yeah,
he's electric too though.
Yeah.
All right, who else we got?
I think one name that been talked a lot about over the last few months is G. Scott, receiver out of Washington, committed to Ohio State on Christmas Day. I think he tends to be overlooked by some of the other players that are in that class for Ohio State. I mean, they got Julian Fleming, who's the number one receiver in the country, but I don't think there's been any player out west all offseason, all spring, and now into the summer that's performed better than G. Scott in just about every major national event. On the 7th circuit, he had the second best rating at the Oakland opening regional. I think you guys got him about 4.5, 4.6
We had him in the mid 4.5.
Yeah, well, I'll be interested what the official number is there, but I mean he clearly has gotten faster or improved his number.
Yeah, And I think he's having a very similar ascension like Kyle Ford did a year ago, where he really kind of crescendoed it here at the opening finals. I think the difference is that Kyle Ford had an SEC quarterback as his high school teammate.
Right.
G. Scott's never had a Division I quarterback or even a Division II quarterback on his team. That's kind of stunted his performance on Friday nights and his production on Friday nights, because he's never had good quarterbacks to get him the ball and had a pretty well-rounded team. But I think all offseason he's shown, the elite playmaking ability he has.
So my question on G will be, he's obviously a big, strong receiver. He's getting faster. So you kind of explain a little bit like what excuses the limited production, and I think I'm okay with that. Well, my next question is, because we still don't even know if Kyle Ford was the right call to make on 5-star yet. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But he was in the G mold of a big physical receiver that's going to be a catch and traffic guy, not necessarily a separation guy. So how much is G tomorrow in the 7-on-7 and on Wednesday going to be a separator, or is he just going to bully guys? And maybe you've seen something where you think he's already there.
And I would have said 6 months ago he's the guy that's going to bully him. But I think this spring he has shown that ability to get separation. And again, he's never going to wow. He's never going to blow you away with his speed. He's just not a blazer. But I think he has shown that ability to get that consistent separation all spring long. And again, he was drawing the top teams' corners when they were playing in big tournaments. FSP, his 7-on-7 team, won the Pylon Nationals. They made it to the quarterfinals down at Adidas Nationals. They were the finalists at Adidas Regionals, won IMG Regionals. So he's gone up against the elite cover guys all spring. We'd love to see him go against Elias Ricks, because when FSP and Ground Zero played, Elias Ricks wasn't playing those games. But I think he's a guy that's really shown that ability to get that separation and really made that jump with his ability to run this offseason.
The times I saw FSP play, Jalen McMillan's on that team. He's our number 3 receiver in the country, currently ranked higher than G, but G's always been the go-to guy for them for the last couple of years. And quite frankly, on the camp circuit, has been one of the best receivers I've seen. And we also know he can go up and get it and be very dominant in the red zone.
My thing with G, and you can correct me, I love G. I think we're kind of hinting at this. Has he peaked? He's a guy he's so trained, right? He works out with Tracy Ford. He's so big, strong. His route running he won't get any better as far as a route runner. He's so precise. Will he get faster? Maybe a little bit. He's not going to ever be a hyper twitch, hyper athletic kid. So is he a bottom 32, 31 guy? I think so. But is his upside, is he as good right now as he can get, or is there room for another jump once he gets to college, which he'll need, obviously?
Sure. Man, I think the biggest question is going to be, what's he going to do when he actually has a legit quarterback throwing him the ball? I mean, is that maybe he just improves even more when he's got a legitimate quarterback? And I think his high school production has been tame. I mean, if you look at the 4 receivers that are in that top 4 bunch out west, you had Jalen McMillan, his quarterback's going out west. You had Jermaine Burton and Johnny Wilson, their quarterback's already is committed somewhere. G's got a quarterback who won a state championship that might not even be the starter this fall. That's how little the quarterback play has been good at a psych athlete.
But is G Scout a first rounder? That's what the 5th star basically represents. Charles, you have the encyclopedia memory. Who does G Scout's profile match anyone that's gone in the first round?
Yeah, I mean, I would say it does. That's one thing that we've kind of seen, at receiver. It's not always going to be, I think there is a place for guys that are maybe more skilled and physical. But I mean, typically you would want to bet on a guy who has straight line speed. I would say, I mean, like Greg and I watched the receivers today. The receivers and DBs pretty close, and he was very good today. Like, he made a lot of plays. I think he split reps with Elias Ricks, and I thought he was positioned himself pretty well. And in terms of the 5-star conversation, I think he's in the mix. I think there are some receivers who aren't here, and maybe some guys that have some upside that I would be interested to see kind of, maybe how they play as seniors. But I thought he was definitely like a top 3 or 4 receiver.
I mean,
He's
he's
my
pretty
number
strong.
one guy. Sorry, Bart.
No, I mean, he's close. Like Cortland Sutton maybe comes to mind, who was 40th pick a couple years ago, who was a 4.75 guy, and G's not even that. I mean, G's faster than that already, but it's more polished. And he made Damori Taylor silly one play. He can separate. I'm not saying he can't.
Boy takes a 4.344.
Right.
So I think Mike Thomas might be.
Dude, Mike Thomas, Michael, at the same stage, we saw Michael Thomas in high school.
Yeah.
G is bigger, stronger, faster, Now, Michael made a huge jump at Ohio State. I don't know how it happened, but it happened. At the same stage, very similar receiver.
So here's the question that I have. So, because I want to move to you, but before we move on, and I don't want to put you on the spot, you don't have to have an answer right now. Where are you, right? Because you've seen him the most. Are you in, he's definitely a 5-star, everyone get on board, or are you in, I'm getting closer, let's see where this goes?
No, I mean, I'll admit it. He's a 5-star, get on board. You know, I think he's moved. Everything that I've seen from him this spring has been, and I even said this to Greg, you know, a year ago, and I know we talked about it on the council a few weeks ago, that he could be this year's Kyle Ford. I mean, just a similar ascension. The difference is that he didn't have Ryan Holinsky throwing him the ball for his high school games, and I think that G has shown what a good quarterback can do for his ability. And I think he's there. And I think this week, I hope this week, he kind of proves that further.
We got here.
So Eric Gilbert, you know, we talked a little bit about him several times. It is, for me, he's a 5-star. Is he a 5-star tight end? Obviously, Charles with the measurables would say no, because tight ends in high school are 210, 215. The guy's, 6'6", 250, but he's a 5-star football player for me. Just watching him today, and again, I know it's about projection, but he was dominant for me, making, you know, one-handed catches, contested catches, acrobatic catches, getting a little bit of separation. Again, he kind of fits the mold of, you know, the left tackles that we're seeing. Maybe even does he project better as a defensive player? But just talking just a pure football player, I don't know if there's 32 guys better than Eric Gilbert.
I had one SEC director of player personnel say to me, if you could rank, you wouldn't rank a tight end #1 because they don't go #1 in the draft, but if you know what you knew about Rob Gronkowski, would you draft him #1 overall? And his point is that, like, Eric Gilbert is that high on their board because of that reason in hindsight. But on the flip side, right now we have Eric Gilbert as a laser time 4.83. I don't know what he ran today on the laser, but it was 4.83 in March. What's a tight end run that typically gets drafted in the first round? And we expect him to get faster in college.
Yeah, I think that the getting faster thing is really, when you look at the tight ends, the tight end is the position where you really see the most jump, like the biggest jump once they get to college athletically. So the question with Eric Gilbert is how much faster is he going to get relative to a guy maybe like a Jalen Conyers who's 215, and once he puts the muscle on, you see a bigger uptick in the speed. Greg and I were kind of talking about this, and I think Eric Gilbert, I was kind of like looking back on past tight ends for comparisons, and y'all saw these guys out west, but like probably the closest comparison I would say, like size-wise, athletically, as a tight end who was drafted high was maybe like a Mercedes Lewis. But he's like, you know, with Gilbert, I think the big thing is he's such a smooth pass catcher. But the question I think relative to a 5-star is how much like more athletic is he going to get, given that? And I'm interested to see what he weighs. I think he was 245. You know, there's not too many guys. He's definitely on the high end of tight ends who get drafted high in terms of size.
Because we ranked Jeremy Rucker as the #1 tight end in the country, and he was the most. We named him the alpha dog in one of the opening practices down here. He was just a dominant pass catcher, but then now is he ever going to be fast enough to get drafted in the first round? That doesn't mean you're not a top 50 player, or top 100 player.
Here's where I'm at with tight end though, is I think athleticism is huge, but to me it's like when I've gone back and looked at the draft, like it's not the testing numbers that are important, it's the athletic profile, like the mismatch dimension you can bring. And to me, and I'll say, like, this is a freaky class for tight ends, because you got, I think Jalen Conyers is there.
Yeah,
Darnell Washington, we were seeing this week. I mean, Michael Mayer is big time.
Theo
Johnson. Like, there's all these guys.
Yeah.
And so I think we need to rank all of them really high.
Yeah.
But where we draw the 5-star line is almost like about just sort of picking who is the best tight ends, like ranking the tight ends, because there's only going to be so many. But I do think a few of them need to be 5-stars. Is Eric Gilbert the best of that group? You know, now, or do we think he's going to be the best of that group at some point? Because I think he's got like the profile from this size, athleticism standpoint, and he's played basketball. He's got some diverse athletic background that he can sort of lean on. So my only hesitation with the 5-star with him is he going to take Jalen Conyers' spot? Is he going to take Darnell Washington's spot? And do we want to sort of put those guys in that 5-star range in chronological order, or like so that we have the right guys in, and then we'll see how much room we have for 5-star tight ends, because tight ends go high in the draft. Like these days, tight ends go high in the draft, so it's okay to rank a bunch high as long as we're sort of picking the right ones.
I didn't want to be like Charles and take 2 guys, which you got 2 quarterbacks here, and not to segue to you first, but I think Darnell Washington can be in the discussion as well.
For sure. I think that's the first.
And Darnell Washington is kind of a unicorn in that regard, because you see him, he's probably the guy here that everybody sees like on the hoof and is like, whoa.
Yeah.
I was noticing today, like Theo Johnson's almost as big as that.
Yeah, it's I mean, like one of the stories of this cycle is the jumbo athletes, the tight ends, the linebackers, just the really big athletic guys. And I think maybe the one thing, if you're trying to make a case for Eric Gilbert, I think the one thing is he might be the smoothest and most fluid like route runner, pass catcher out of those guys, and that kind of speaks to the point of being like a mismatch in the pass game. But
you kind of read my mind. I was gonna say I love Darnell, but just watching those 2 guys, you just saw a lot more fluidity.
I would agree.
Obviously, Michael Mayer for me was phenomenal, but Eric Gilbert was the more fluid, just compared to him and Darnell.
He looks more like a receiver than the other tight ends.
No lumberiness out of him at all. And again, he's 250.
But yeah, it's a great class.
The SEC school I originally mentioned, definitely has evaluated all those guys as Eric Gilbert, #1 on their board, regardless of position.
So all right. So Eric Gilbert, I think where we're at now is like let's monitor throughout the week. He's on the cusp. He's been on the cusp since the beginning. But let's see where we're at.
And really interesting to see what he tested today, too.
Yeah. Charles, Steve, what do you guys got?
Yeah, it's just we only have, I think we only have 1 quarterback as a 5-star right now. DJ Uiagalelei, who's committed to Clemson. So I think when you look at the next, he's not here. He's not in Frisco for the Elite 11 or the opening. So I think when you look at just from being out here at the Elite 11 the past two days, and then kind of watching today, although today was like a little tougher to kind of gauge quarterbacks. I think throwing one-on-ones is probably one of the least applicable things for looking at a quarterback. I think the 2 guys who are really the next 2 in our rankings, I think we had some people kind of questioning if we were, falling victim to confirmation bias here. I just think our rankings are kind of on point when you look at the next 2 being Bryce Young and Haynes King. I think you can probably make an argument that they've been the 2 best quarterbacks here from what we've seen. And really, it's guys that have the full kind of profile in terms of what they do on Friday nights. They're 2 of the most productive quarterbacks in the country, leading their teams to state championships in huge classifications, winning monster games. Both really athletic, kind of thrive in improvisational, movement kind of aspects. I think we had Haynes King in the 4-5 range today on the hand clock, and this really isn't necessarily going to be, I think, their best environment. And I think the fact that they've looked so good to us, kind of in this camp setting, given and doubled with how good they are on Friday nights, I think it's a pretty, you can make a pretty strong case for both of them. I mean, I think Bryce could really challenge DJ as the top quarterback in the class. Like, I think before that's all said and done, it's going to be a really interesting conversation to have. I'm a huge fan of his. Just kind of, I think he fits the way quarterback's trending. He's so creative with how he plays, and then Haynes has
the toughest schedule too.
Yeah, they're both like really battle tested, and Haynes, I didn't think, like, especially Bart and I were talking about this. Like, this really, I was kind of thinking like we would maybe have to kind of couch how we look at Haynes King in this setting, because he's not really a guy who's going to blow you away with the way the ball comes out of his hand, but he's been really good. He's been better than I thought he would be, to be honest. So those are 2 guys who I think are probably trending up, and they're really the next 2 quarterbacks. But I think by the time we kick it out to 32 5-stars, I think Bryce is almost a foregone conclusion to me, and I think Haynes should be heavily in the conversation.
Yeah, well, it's kind of one of those deals. Like, what more do we need to see?
Just
because those guys have been incredibly productive. The film checks out. We love them on film. They are, again, like if they were going to bring up some, and you guys have seen Bryce. I don't know how many. I'm sure you've seen countless times
in middle school.
So I mean, what more do we have to see? Especially when you consider the quarterback position is one where you're going to have guys drafted first round every year. We feel like this is a good class at the quarterback position. So look, they could still fall apart over the next couple of days. I mean, the most important stuff's yet to come, but I'm sort of in that boat where.
I mean,
But even so, what they've done on Fridays,
if you look at their trajectory, yeah.
If Bryce could throw 80 picks, and I'd still say 5-star.
No,
People ask me all the time, DJ or Bryce? Honestly, I have no idea. I know you made a comment that, you know, if you had to win a game today, you would take Bryce. I think that's kind of the feeling. And I think with Bryce, watching him since, you know, at a young age, was always, and all he was taller. He was only taller, but shoot, the last two quarterbacks drafted number 1 overall were 5'10" and 6 feet.
Yeah,
right?
and I think one thing with Bryce is, you know, they have hand sizes on all the quarterbacks here. He has a 10-inch hand. His hand is the same size as DJ's. So, and he really kind of, I noticed just kind of watching
Tua effect. Like
Yeah.
that's the 6 undersized guy, but whatever. Tua's
Yeah.
got 10.
It's like, and, you know, granted, this is going to be like your best comparison all the time, but like Johnny Manziel was a guy who was on the short side, but he was very long limbed, big hands, big feet. And Kyler Murray, although he's kind of like, you know, odd shaped physically, had pretty big hands. So like it's not like Russell Wilson was like that. So when you look at the shorter quarterbacks, they're always going to be like I don't really look at Bryce Young and say he is lacking physically. He's just kind of short.
Right.
Like he's not really a guy who like is. I don't think he's gonna have trouble, you know, filling out or just being like a really slight guy with his hand size. Like given how kind of it's trending today, like Baker Mayfield was kind of like that too.
Yeah.
So I think Bryce is smart as heck. He's a game comes slow. He processes extremely fast. He'll go into a college, and he'll be able to pick up an offensive playbook like that. Reading defenses, he's already advanced, coming from modern day. So I think for me, I'm big on can a quarterback. Is he smart? Does he have a high IQ? Bryce checks off those boxes in big way.
I liked Bryce Young a lot when he was at his prior school. I think it was like Cathedral or Irwood. But I like that he transferred into modern day and came in. He followed some huge shoes with JT Daniels, and he really kind of like got better and rose to the occasion. I know, Greg, you were saying everybody was kind of questioning like is he kind of
He was getting booed.
is he gonna live up to the hype? Like he's
points.
really competitive. Like he comes
Yeah.
to all these events and he's I'm pretty impressed by like how he embraces all that competition type stuff.
So we're pretty close on those guys. Feels like that's a 5-star waiting to happen. Steve, take us home. Who you got?
Well, the last guy that I'm like, what are we waiting on? Because I think Bryce, Haynes, and Trenton are 5 stars would be Noah Sewell. I mean, he's one of the most unique defensive prospects in this class. Is he a Mike? Is he going to grow into a defensive tackle? Can he play anything on the front? He's got tremendous speed, a 4.2 shuttle, 260-something pounds. I think we had him in the handhelds at like 4.6 today. I'll be curious to see what that comes back because he was a 4.79 laser at an early.
He ran in San Antonio. He was a 5 flat.
In the college feedback that we've all gotten from coaches on Noah Sewell has just been
It's about as unanimous.
It's like
unanimous
acclaim.
So that's the guy that. What are we waiting on with Noah Sewell?
I think to me, like what the hesitation was, you don't have a prototype. He doesn't look like anybody else.
My position.
You know, what is he a 260-pound linebacker? Is he a 260-pound linebacker that goes into 290-pound D tackle? So as I've gotten a chance to get more exposure to him and see the way he moves, and I was talking to his dad, Gabe, tonight, he's a massive dude himself, and you just know that when you get that guy eating right, and he admits it, I mean, when you get him eating right in a college program, he'll be either able to trim down, or if that's the way they want to go, bulk up and head in that direction. But that's almost to me a positive because you got a couple bullets to fire. So, I mean, 5-star, I guess we're there.
Is he a tight end? I don't know.
Yeah.
But can he be a 5-star defensive end, outside linebacker, left tackle? I feel like Sewell is kind of like he's such a great football player.
Right.
He'll find a spot and he'll dominate.
I'm
I
hoping
think
he's
it's
a
been
spot.
transferred.
Devin White
eventually a defensive tackle, and he's going in the first round.
But I think Devin White is the comp I've grown to develop for him.
Yeah.
The visualization I have is Devin White.
I think ultimately, if he were to fill out, he would have really really high first round potential as a pass rush from 3 technique. I think like Barton mentioned Devin White. I think the two, it just depends on how his body trends, and I'm interested to see what he weighs today because he was 266 at the regional in LA in February. We heard he might be in the 270s on some visits, so that's going to be really interesting. You see him, and he doesn't look like he weighs near that much. So kind of the trajectory with his size is really going to be the determining factor. But when you look at like athletic comps, Devin White is the closest one probably for a linebacker. And Sewell's outside of I think Devin White had a faster 40. but Sewell's agility and vertical are much better.
Yeah.
And then I guess with D tackle, there's really nobody close. Maybe Ed Oliver might be the closest one, but he's at this stage significantly. It sounds crazy to say this. He's significantly more athletic than Ed Oliver. So I think when you look at size, athleticism, he might be the most rare guy in this class, and he's just like, it's really a fascinating kind of thing to track.
And he kind of speaks to that jumbo athlete that we're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the most unique player in the country, probably, period, especially the defense side of the ball. And, you know, if you saw Panay this year, his brother who started an offensive tackle at Oregon, how quickly he transformed his body once he got to Oregon, and that kind of speaks to him. Noah's the youngest of 4 Division I playing brothers. The other 3 brothers have all been starters, and the older two didn't quite have the hype that Panay or Noah did, but they got into a college program, kind of reshaped their body immediately at Mountain West schools, and were instant impact players. And Noah is by far the most has the most physical upside of those guys. But I just think, you know, I know we talk about bloodlines a lot when we're looking at. You see it on their pages, you know, the family history, and there's that history there of those guys playing and making plays, and none of those guys were the prospect that Noah was, and I think that's what, you know, kind of gives you even more encouragement to know what he can be capable of at the next level.
All right, well, I feel pretty good about where we're at. I think we got a good beat on a few of these guys. We'll see what happens the rest of the week, but there's gonna be a few 5 stars coming on this thing. So thanks, guys.